You are standing in the middle of a crowded room, perhaps at a social gathering or a busy office, and suddenly it hits you. It is not a thought, and it is certainly not an emotion that belongs to you. It is a physical weight, a sudden, crushing density in the air that no one else seems to notice. You feel the suppressed rage of the man smiling in the corner. You feel the terrified grief of the woman laughing too loudly near the door. It enters your chest like a cold draft, bypassing your logical defenses entirely, flooding your nervous system with cortisol and adrenaline. By the time you return to the sanctuary of your home, you are not just tired, you are hollowed out. You lie in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling a vibration in your bones that takes hours to fade, wondering why basic human interaction feels less like socializing and more like a surgical extraction of your life force. You have likely spent your entire life apologizing for this. You call it being too sensitive. You call it social anxiety. You tell yourself you need to toughen up, to build a thicker skin, to stop overthinking every micro-expression and shifting tone of voice. But whatever you think this is, you are fundamentally wrong. It is not a defect. It is not a pathology to be medicated away. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, identified this phenomenon not as a weakness, but as a specific structural anomaly in the psyche of a very rare minority. You are not broken. You are functioning exactly as nature intended. But you are operating on an operating system that the modern world was not designed to support. You are suffering from what I call the permeable ego boundary. While the average person moves through the world with a psychological shield, a thick, opaque wall that separates me from you, your internal architecture is built with a translucent membrane. Jung believed that for this rare personality type, the unconscious mind is not a buried basement, but an open door. You do not just observe the world, you metabolize it. Modern neuroscience has finally caught up to what Jung observed in his clinic a century ago. We now know that this permeability is linked to a hyperactive mirror neuron system in the prefrontal cortex. When you see someone in pain, your brain does not just process the visual data, it simulates the exact same neural firing pattern as the person suffering. You are not imagining their pain, you are physiologically replicating it. This is not empathy in the colloquial sense, it is neural resonance contagion. And without the proper tools to manage it, it is a living nightmare. Jung treated a patient, let us call him Julian, a brilliant architect who found himself unable to enter his own construction sites. Julian confessed that the moment he stepped onto the concrete, he felt the chaotic frustration of the laborers, the financial anxiety of the investors, and the structural tension of the building itself. It overwhelmed him to the point of catatonia. Jung realized that Julian was not afraid of the work. He was suffering from psychic indigestion. He was consuming the collective shadow of everyone around him without the mechanism to digest it. If you have felt this ancient, heavy fatigue, you may possess this rare personality configuration. Jung argued that this type is evolutionary, a scout for the collective consciousness, but it comes with a heavy price. To determine if you carry this burden, we must look at the specific symptoms that manifest when this gift is misunderstood. These are the signs that you are not just sensitive, but that you are operating with a catalyst architecture. The first sign is what I categorize as the truth-teller's nausea. Most people can tolerate a certain level of social dishonesty. Small lies, polite fictions, and the masks people wear to function in society are invisible to the average observer. But for you, a lie is not an abstract concept. It is a somatic assault. When someone lies to you, even if they are smiling and saying all the right words, you feel a physical dissonance. It might manifest as a sudden headache, a tightening in the solar plexus, or a wave of irrational nausea. Jung described this as an immediate access to the shadow of others. Because your unconscious mind is constantly scanning for congruence, any disconnect between a person's persona, their social mask, and their true intent triggers a violent alarm in your system. You know they are lying before your logical brain can explain why. This often leads to a phenomenon called the Cassandra isolation. You warn others about a person who seems charming but feels wrong to you. When you are inevitably proven right months later, you feel no satisfaction, only the exhaustion of having sensed the rot beneath the floorboards long before the house collapsed. You are detecting micro-expressions and pheromonal shifts that scream danger while everyone else is seduced by the performance. The second sign is the sin-eater complex. Do strangers tell you their darkest secrets within minutes of meeting you? Do you find yourself sitting on a park bench or waiting for a train, and suddenly the person next to you is weeping, confessing a trauma they have never told their spouse or therapist? This is not a coincidence. It is a magnetic reaction to your psychological gravity. Jung believed that the collective unconscious seeks equilibrium. When people are carrying a heavy load of repressed emotion, shame, guilt, grief, they subconsciously scan the environment for a vessel capable of holding it. Your open, non-judgmental frequency acts as a vacuum. You possess the alchemical container. People feel instinctually that you can transmute their lead into gold. They dump their trauma onto you, feeling lighter and healed when they walk away. Meanwhile, you are left physically staggering under the weight of a tragedy that does not belong to you. You walk away feeling dirty, heavy, or suddenly depressed, having absorbed the psychological toxins they expelled. You have become the repository for the unacknowledged pain of your environment. The third sign is a terrifying phenomenon known as identity osmosis. In the presence of a strong personality, do you sometimes forget who you are? This is not mere agreeableness. This is a terrifying fluidity of self. If you spend a week with a disciplined, military-minded friend, you find yourself adopting their posture, their cadence, their rigid worldview. If you then spend a week with a chaotic artist, you suddenly feel that structure is oppressive and only flow matters. Jung warned that for the rare empathetic type, the self is often less calcified than in others. You are water, taking the shape of the container you are poured into. While this allows you to understand people deeper than anyone else ever could, it leads to a dangerous state of ego dissolution. You may wake up in your mid-30s and realize you do not know what you actually like, what you actually believe, or what you actually want, because you have spent decades mirroring the desires of those you love to maintain harmony. You have become a perfect reflection of the world, but at the cost of your own visibility. You are a mirror that has forgotten it has its own surface. The fourth sign is what Jungian analysts refer to as the chronological glitch, or the feeling of being out of time. Since childhood, you have likely felt a strange distance from your peers. While other children were concerned with the immediate, the toy, the game, the playground hierarchy, you were likely watching from the edge, filled with a melancholic sense that this was all terribly trivial. You may have felt older than your parents by the time you were 7. This is not arrogance, it is a shift in temporal perception. Jung suggested that certain individuals have a thinner veil between the conscious mind and the ancestral memory. You are tapped into the archetypal themes of humanity: death, meaning, sorrow, rebirth, before you have the life experience to contextualize them. You feel the weight of centuries in a Tuesday afternoon. This leads to a deep, aching nostalgia for a home you cannot remember and a place you have never been. You are suffering from primordial homesickness. The modern world, with its fast-paced, surface-level obsessions, feels loud and insignificant to you because you are attuned to the slow, deep rhythms of the human condition. You are trying to have a conversation about the soul while the world is shouting about the weather. The fifth sign is what I classify as the Thalamic Breach. In a neurotypical brain, the thalamus acts as a bouncer for the mind. It filters out the hum of the refrigerator, the scratch of a shirt tag, or the flickering of a fluorescent light, allowing the person to focus only on what is relevant. But for you, the bouncer has abandoned his post. You lack the mechanism of sensory gating. The world does not enter your mind as a stream, it enters as a flood. You likely find yourself becoming irrationally angry in chaotic environments, shopping malls, busy airports, or loud restaurants. This is not a temper tantrum, it is a neurological survival response. Jung observed that high-sensitivity individuals possess a lower threshold for stimulation, meaning your nervous system reaches capacity faster than others. When the noise, the lights, and the psychic weight of the crowd become too much, you enter a state of systemic overload shutdown. Your brain simply refuses to process any more data. You go numb. You dissociate. You might even shut down mid-sentence, unable to find words, because your internal bandwidth has been entirely consumed by the environment. To the outside world, you look aloof or checked out. Inside, you are desperately trying to keep the dam from breaking. The sixth sign is often misdiagnosed as depression, but Jung saw it as a vital biological rhythm. It is the absolute non-negotiable need for the hermit's protocol. There are times when you feel a sudden, violent need to withdraw from everyone you love. It is not that you stop caring about them, it is that their very presence feels like it is burning your skin. You need a dark room, silence, and total cessation of interaction. This is because your energy system is not closed. You are constantly leaking vitality into others and absorbing their waste. Jung called this the introversion of libido, not in a sexual sense, but as a retrieval of psychic energy. You must retreat to the depths to metabolize what you have absorbed. If you deny this urge, if you force yourself to socialize because of guilt or obligation, you will suffer from psychic cannibalism. Your psyche will begin to eat itself to sustain energy, leading to autoimmune flare-ups, chronic fatigue, or sudden explosive rage at innocent people. Your isolation is not a luxury, it is your dialysis machine. The seventh sign is the abyssal gaze, or the inability to engage in small talk. You have likely stood at a party, holding a drink, listening to someone talk about the weather or their kitchen renovation, and felt a sensation akin to dying. It is physically painful for you to remain on the surface. You have a compulsion to dive deep. You want to know what they fear, what they dream of, what keeps them awake at 3 a.m. Jung noted that this personality type is driven by the numinous, the awe-inspiring, mysterious aspect of existence. You are built for the deep end of the ocean, when you are forced to tread water in the shallows of social niceties. You suffer from the meaning famine. You are starving for substance in a world of sugar. This often makes you intimidating to others. You hold eye contact too long. You ask questions that pierce the veil. You unintentionally strip people of their defenses because you are desperately looking for a real human pulse beneath the performance. The eighth and final sign is the most dangerous one, the savior's martyrdom. Because you feel the pain of others so acutely, you develop a subconscious belief that it is your responsibility to fix it. You attract broken things. You fall in love with potential, not reality. You stay in toxic relationships years too long because you can see their good heart buried under layers of trauma. Jung warned that this is the trap of inflation, believing you have the godlike power to save others. You do not. By trying to carry the karma of others, you block their own path to growth and crush yourself in the process. You become a sponge that never gets squeezed out, heavy with the sorrows of a world you cannot save. If these 8 signs resonate with you, the diagnosis is clear. But what is the cure? How do you live with the permeable ego without being destroyed by it? The solution is not to toughen up. You cannot sew the membrane shut. The solution is what Jung called individuation, but applied specifically to your architecture through a technique I call the glass wall visualization. You must learn to distinguish between empathy and identification. Empathy is standing on the shore and seeing someone drowning. Identification is jumping in and drowning with them. The latter helps no one. You need to develop selective empathic immunity. When you feel a wave of emotion hit you, the rage of a coworker, the anxiety of a partner, you must engage your prefrontal cortex immediately. Pause. Ask yourself the diagnostic question, is this mine? If the answer is no, you must visualize a pane of thick, museum-quality glass dropping between you and the other person. You can see them, you can hear them, you can offer them compassion, but their energy hits the glass and slides down. It does not enter your chest. You become the sovereign observer. You are a witness to their storm, not a victim of it. This is the hardest work you will ever do. It requires you to stop being a nice person and start being a whole person. It requires you to disappoint people who are used to using you as an emotional trash can. It requires you to say no when you feel their disappointment radiating off them. But understand this, nature does not make mistakes. This sensitivity was given to you for a reason. You are the early warning system for your tribe. You are the one who senses the predator in the grass before it moves. You are the one who feels the discord in the group before conflict breaks out. You are not broken. You are the next step in the evolution of consciousness. The world is moving toward a state of higher connectivity. The internet has connected our minds. The next step is the connection of our hearts. You are the prototype for this future human. You are learning to navigate a world where the barriers between self and other are dissolving. It hurts now because you are the first to feel the friction. Accept your burden, polish your mirror, learn to close the door when the wind blows too hard. You are not just a sensitive person trying to survive a harsh world. You are a keeper of the collective soul. See you in the next dimension.